We are a go for that. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Jeneth Blackert,
And I'm Leonka Reina.
and this is the Hot Hustle Show. Today, we're going to talk about changing your vibe when it comes to wealth, but we can't forget about the eclipse yesterday. So, we're going to start there. And we yesterday shared a moment together, and my gosh, we were just in awe. Who all saw the eclipse yesterday? Will you chime in on the chat?
I know that, of course, we're in the path of totality
Yeah.
here in Texas. So we're in Austin, Texas. And the funny thing about that was, I mean, don't you think that the whole time they kept giving us all of these different weather reportings, like it's low clouds and you're gonna not really have a good view and low clouds. And of course, you have to set everybody's expectations, right? If you're the newscast. But didn't we get such a great view
Oh
regardless?
my gosh, like the clouds parted and it was perfect. I put on TikTok this cute little, her husband did this time lapse reel of us during the eclipse. Technically, I wasn't in it, but she was, and my daughter
Yeah.
was. So we had a lot of fun with that. I'll go ahead and send that out to the newsletter. But it was funny. We put Benny Hill to the background music of it. So good times.
And it was, it got real dark. And we had the broadcast on for the news, so we could see it going through the different states. It was kind of called the Eclipse Across America. So of course, all of the major newscasters were commenting on it, but just having our own experience was quite phenomenal,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And one of the things that was said was one of the newscasters was talking about how they try to plan a job and you do this and you do that to, further your career and you make these moves. And all of a sudden you have one of these moments where it just puts you right back into the cosmos and the appreciation for what is.
yeah. It's like he was talking about it's just being like so much more than just us. Like we're all in this
Yes.
daily grind and
Yes, that was his exact words.
yeah,
It's so much more than
not
just
just us.
us and the way we plan and all of these things. I mean, that right there should show you that I mean, there's a vast whole universe out here and
Yeah,
anything and all possibilities are possible.
yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when William Shatner went up to the moon and he like literally they just rocketed him up there and then he was in space for a moment and he came back down and he said it was just absolutely life-changing because you're like, oh shit, outside my atmosphere there's like this vastness.
I've heard that before.
Yeah.
And if you can have moments like that where you remember that we're just not our own little space, like our own, that we really are all interconnected and just this
Mm,
huge vastness that there is so much more
yeah.
possibility and space available.
In one of Joe Dispenza's meditations, before he goes into the meditations, if you know Joe Dispenza, he'll be always be like, now in space. And, he describes that space literally as the galactic cosmos. He's like, remove all the matter. You can take away the stars, you can take away like all the matter, but it's this vastness of this dark space. And that is where we're connected to the field. And then, in this field, gives us vision, basically. It's like the
Yeah.
vision doesn't come from you making it up necessarily. I'm sure we've got active imaginations. And since it's Unicorn Day, did you know that?
I didn't know that.
We can imagine unicorns and all kinds of things, and how much are unicorns even being translated possibly from the galactic? I mean, we all kind of align and agree that unicorns, are these horse with a horn. But Why would we just make up this like one animal without it actually being like something? It probably comes from somewhere. A lot of those mythical things do,
Yeah, I was thinking
right?
that too, right? Where I've never seen a dragon in front of my face, like
I know.
materialized, but I've definitely seen it in my dreams.
Yeah.
And I know where it's at. So you're right, a lot about the mythical things and how do
Yeah.
we all have that kind of, how are those stories being retold
Hmm.
and just coming to us? I mean, I think that like Nikola Tesla had these really prolific downloads as
Yeah.
well to create in the way that he did and to also be able to bring to, I guess, to humanity or to intention or into writing and, invention, some of these really big, broad ideas and theories. And I do believe that it comes from, this vast
Yes.
field and
It comes from the
connectivity. Yeah.
field. It doesn't necessarily come from vision. In fact, Joe Dispenza doesn't even use the word vision, which has helped me a lot because I kind of felt like, oh, I'm a visioneer. And now I realize, And sometimes I wonder if, hey, maybe my future self, my my person in no space, no time,
Yeah.
is actually indicating me and offering me these visions.
Yeah.
I just have to surrender
Yeah.
entirely and say, I'm in.
Yeah.
I, and in the
Yeah.
essence and the flow of wealth creation, one of the things that I knew is that I really have a lot of fun when I play with money. And I think that that innate desire inside of me, which is a funny thing, guys. So my father was a minister in the church, and he was so non-materialistic. Like it was never about stuff. It was always about the life experience. We would spend money on life experience. And I was kind of middle class at the beginning of my life, but by the time that I got married, my parents were definitely upper middle. So I was taught money and I was taught money well.
Yeah.
And it was like, here are the lessons of money. And I got the Babylon book.
Yeah.
Y'all should read that, by
It's
the
really
way.
good.
That
Yeah.
was like, talk about the Bible of money. That was The Richest Man in Babylon was my dad's book that we do exactly this. And so we followed this richest man of Babylon throughout my life. Like that was the control, hardcore, wealth creation path. And those things do work. But it felt like, now that have had this like pulling desire to create the life that I want to lead, I do feel that my you know, future possibilities are indicating to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're saying, hey, come on, let's go. You've got to be this to create this. And so I do definitely create that. Um, Sorry, I have to put on my glasses to read your comments.
And usually I
Here's the
have it
real
up for
world
you.
thing.
So here, let me pop over there.
Oh, Show Me the Money from Jerry Maguire. That was such a fun movie.
Roy's never seen that. My husband's
Oh,
never seen
really?
that. No. Um,
You talk about a hustle with it, a fun hustle, you know, until he was like, holy crap, I'm not going to have any money if I don't do something here. But, it's funny because, a lot of people that really are in the area of Christianity, for the lack of a better word, I don't know the right word here, but a lot of them was like, money is evil, and
mhm.
and then the other half of us, the witchiness in us, then we're also like, if I show up and I express, I'm going to be burned at the stake, right? I'm going to
Yes.
be
Mm-hmm.
vilified, for the
Uh-huh.
lack of a better word. And, once you get over those things and you realize that you can have everything that everyone else has, you know, you get over yourself. And I do think that there's, I was looking at the elements of my course if I would create something for wealth in the future. And, one of the things is you've got to really get into the knowingness that you trust yourself, you can do this, and you're willing also to surrender your
That's it
control
right
around
there.
it. It's funny because I do know business. I've learned it so that I can create wealth with these things. It's 1111.
Of course.
And and I've made that path. I've chosen those steps, right? And I really feel that, that's cool that I've chosen that, but really the true wealth comes because we've done our work.
Yeah.
We know who we are at the essence of who we are. We know how we can show up for you guys. And and that's really the underlying vibe to
I
create
also
this.
think too, some of, not some, and I don't think I know. Lots of the things that I have experienced, and I grew up very different as well, was to be able to speak from a different viewpoint as well. Because in my household, we did not learn about money.
Yeah.
It's traditionally not something, and especially in Hispanic cultures, you don't talk about money. You don't talk
Well,
about it.
that's also something within the Christian community that you don't talk about the money either.
Oh, okay.
It's
Okay.
changed. It changed over the years.
Good.
Thank God.
Because I'm a big believer. I believe in speaking about financial literacy. My son is learning about it. I
Hmm.
wrote a thesis about it in grad school about how we didn't, families did not raise their children to learn about even what a 401k was or just anything, any pieces of it. I didn't know how, I just knew that we made ends meet, but and in my parents' household, I knew that we didn't, and those were scary times, and that's a lot of lack and fear that I grew up with, that I feel like I can really speak to, some of that lack and fear and how that shows up all the time, and if I'm not actively working with it, and if I'm not actively being, um, then then I can let my old programming run.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of people have that, where we were raised that way. And I still think that it's a
Well,
very private conversation, in some households.
I feel like there's two ways of creation. You can do it this real world way where it's like, dollars for time
Mm-hmm.
almost,
Mm-hmm.
where you bust your ass during your hours and then money accumulates. And then the other way is by doing it from the vision and the vibe so that it can be sustainable.
Yeah.
And I do think those visions come from the field and
And for your higher self.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I do believe that also, that's, Oprah Winfrey even alludes to this a lot. I don't think she says it, and she says to say it loud in so many words, but before it was kind of a taboo conversation for her to even say, but she says she's a master manifester. And really, what she was able to do was just keep following that
The
inner
dots,
knowing.
the
Uh-huh.
yeah.
And she even had the entire series toward the end of her show was a lot of speakers that were coming on and speaking to the same exact topic. I mean, it almost became what she was starting to represent. When you look at some of her later speakers in her show, and then that's why
Mm.
she now publicly says why she started the network, but because she knew, probably innately, I mean, she really surrendered, to kind of following, not kind of, I mean, she really surrendered to following that all the way out, for creating her wealth. And she's one of the most wealthiest, women or successful that you would,
Well, once
whatever
you,
your titles are.
yeah,
But
I
yeah.
feel like once you figure out this change in vibe to get from, a thought, to a feeling, right? The
Mm-hmm.
head to the heart, when you get those coherent and in alignment,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can actually not visualize wealth, but almost be wealth, be money, that is when things change. And you think different things, you feel different things, you take different actions, but all of that comes from within. I loved what Anita said here. She's like, I hate that feeling of working for dollars, right? And you should, because that's not how this works.
Right.
And I think that's why, that should feel like heavy as all heavy does.
Right. So when we came up with the word hot hustle, we really wanted it to be a redefinition of what hustle really meant, right? This isn't Dolly
and
Parton's nine to
and how.
five, working hard, 9 to 5, right? Like
Yeah.
you didn't want it to be that hard working thing. Hustle today is truly what it is a movement. And what we wanted it to be was a movement of collaboration and for the betterment of the world. And so we just really were like, you know what, we're going to redefine what's hot today. Hot is,
Yeah, it's like being all of you, strutting your stuff is the hut, right? And then the hustle is like really following the dots, like following the whispers, going for it, engaged in life, and just really living, what your dream days are like. And if you aren't there yet, and you are still in this like muddle, we're here to help you today change that vibe. I mean, I know that vibe is kind of a fun word, but I really feel that that is what happens. Like you've got to get this in your bones. Joe Dispenza also, gosh, I'm talking a lot about him, but
that's
he
okay.
shares a
He's
story
great.
from his, initial accident in, 1988 or whatever time it was. And when he shares that story, he was like, look, I broke my back. I was like face down in the bed. I had nothing else to do but play with this in my mind, this idea of, how can I heal my body, my life with my thoughts and my feelings and my emotions. And he said, for the first week, it's like I kept going into, I'm not going to be able to do this, and the doubts and everything. And he kept tracking back. He had all this time to work on getting this coherence between his brain and his heart so that these intensified feelings around this would be the driving portion. So if you say that you want more money and you want to create a life of wealth, I would ask you, what is your basic practices to get you there, right? Are you actively working with vision, or are you connecting with the field so the vision is revealed to you? On Thursday, we're going to have my dear friend Megan Silito that's all about creating from the whispers. So it'll be a lot of fun. Dr. Jose explains vibrations and emotions so well. Yes, he does.
He really does.
Yeah. And it's so simple the way he explains it too, until you go into like all the metrics and everything that he's doing, in which case I'm like, just give me the stuff that works.
Well, when you think about it, one of the schools of thought is that through time and for whatever reasons, the pineal gland has been so two things. The pineal gland has also been depicted in various different hieroglyphics. Ancient aliens always covers it, right? You see it in different forms, and it's always kind of depicted as this, third eye. And if one of the things that Joe Dispenza explains is that, truly, being able to have that brain heart coherence also activates our pineal gland. And what we found is that the pineal gland has become calcified for whatever reasons. You can say it's fluoride, you can say it's for whatever reasons. But one of the reasons why it becomes available to us and to be able to communicate, if we are these antennas, then we need to be broadcasting and receiving. Mm-hmm. And one of the ways that we have shut down our receiving, for whatever reasons, the calcification doesn't allow for us to have our full measure. And, we had Masami on talking about being a better instrument for channel. And we talk about ways in which that we can connect better to the field. But when you have that brain-heart coherence, what you do is you literally are peeling back those pieces of calcification that allows for that that connection to better communicate with your mind. And you're able to then, you're basically, refielding or recalibrating your antenna to the field. And so when you're able to admit this, and it really, it's almost like a pulsing feeling for me. I think everyone kind of experiences it differently. But when you really are just having those moments of like straight, quiet, he's got a couple practices in which he does it. But those are the ways in which, some people say that it's God, your higher self. You can pray. When you pray, it's us communicating with God. But when you meditate and when you really come in and you drop into the heart and coherence, that's the way that God or your higher self or universe communicates with you.
Yeah. You guys know this. You guys want to do some woo
Yeah,
play?
yeah, let's go.
I would like, before we do that, for you to type in the chat with wealth creation specifically, what do you think might be the frequency that limits you? Like yours? Like is like, what is you don't think you can? Is it lack? Is it?
We can start right here with, with what Anita said. You feel like you have to work hard.
Yeah, you have to work hard
for money. So it's maybe a belief system.
So
she said she feels it, right? That's a feeling. That's a vibration right there.
Great. So one of the things that it took me a while to get my head wrapped around, and you're going to laugh at this one, I think, is your point of view creates your reality. So if you have a point of view, it's like, I'm not laughing. If you have a point of view that you have to work hard for money, until you change that point of view, you are always going to have to work hard for money. So maybe today we look at what is the main point of view that you have around money that you feel, no, wait, that is me. That is my point of view. And it's so deep instilled in you that you don't even feel that you can change it. Let's get to the point where you can change this. Yeah. So tell me, okay. So basically it's not even your point of view, Anita. You've been told you have to do this.
I've been told. Yeah. And then that's how I operated. And because I was successful at making money by working hard, I reiterated it. Like I kept it as a loop. I hold on to it. It's my pride.
Right.
Sad to say. I mean, it hurts to say it.
Would you be willing to give that up?
Yes. Hell yes.
No.
Oh, God, just saying that.
One of the coaches that I had, she's like, well, work is involved, but it doesn't have to be hard. And I thought that was really good.
Yeah. Or it can be enjoyable.
Yeah. She's like, and I see evidence all around. Of course you would, because that's your point of view. So your point of view then validates it. Now, I'm not saying go out and quit your job and don't do anything. I'm saying create from a different space while you're still creating the way you're creating. You do both until you get the other engine going. This other engine is about really seeing a new possibility, right? And to see a new possibility, you've got to get your head and heart in a space that you're open to receive a new possibility.
Anita, I'm right there with you. I have no job.
Why do you think we're doing this show? She got fired.
Straight let go, right? I don't like the word fired either. It makes me feel like cringy.
Well, that's your point of view because you feel something with rejection.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, and sales would that be a big component too?
100%.
So lots of stuff coming up. Okay.
Yeah. And I even brought in something to talk about that too, about the ebbs, when we get to the ebbs and flows and the
Hmm.
sales portion of it. But just to set the record, I was laid off.
She was not fired, she was laid off.
Right? But really, what is that difference? Does that really, what does that all mean? Nothing. And we have these norms that we put in, societal norms that we put in place that make us feel some type of way, make us, everywhere where you feel like you have no job to find something, would you be willing to destroy and uncreate that now?
Yeah, let's
And
start
I'll raise my
there.
hand. Because wealth creation is not about the job
No,
solely,
well, it could be
but
if
it's
that
not
is, if
about
you
it.
have, like, I mean, my son's an electrical engineer and he's looking for a job. And I mean, the vision, I don't know what vision he's holding, by the way, but the vision that he could hold is this beautiful job exactly where they want to live, in the Upper East Side of New York or what have you. And he could have this vision where he goes to work at like 9 in the morning. He can wear all the clothes that he loves wearing, and he puts in like every single detail around it. And he connects in the quantum entanglements and the interconnectedness with the people that are hiring this. And he can pray on top of that all too,
I feel like I've checked
right?
all those boxes and it's worked
Right?
out, right?
Yeah.
But and was I really, okay, I'm just gonna say this.
Okay.
I checked all those boxes. I wore all the fancy clothes. I visioned it all out. I even moved cities, came back, worked for different radio stations, had all the things. I mean, these are things that I've been thinking about when I was in my 20s. Checked all those boxes, and at the end of it, I found myself
Unfulfilled. No, just kidding.
unfulfilled, right?
I didn't want to put words
Right,
in your mouth.
where I am literally crying when I'm getting another when I'm signing the deal for the next role. And I'm thinking, this is craziness. And they're telling me, what my package is, it's 6 figures. I'm really excited about that, but it's not where I'm
So let me
supposed to
ask you
be.
this question. Did you get stuck in that vision? Did you get stuck in that frequency?
Ooh,
Right? Because there was a time you needed that work experience to do what we're doing
truth.
now. So instead of like saying, oh, that was fun, now it's time to,
Uh, and it's all,
receive a new vision.
yeah,
You just didn't do that work, right?
right.
But that's fine because you've been fine all along and we finally got here.
Right, and I had been playing with it for a long, long time. So in and out, instead of really choosing.
Mm,
And I think that's what kept me also further in a loop too,
yep,
right?
I love
Um,
this. This is a great conversation because I mean, how
it's
many
very
like
vulnerable.
we all create from the
Hmm.
past, right?
Hmm.
Like we create like I mean, basically that's how our brain works. It's like, oh, that worked in the past, so let's do it again.
Hmm.
I,
Hmm.
this is so how many of you were excited the first time you created something and you just haven't gone back in and started to create from your future possibilities and you're still creating from your
Oh,
past.
girl, yeah. So,
And
Raisha says she was stuck in the replay of a frequency. So was I.
yeah,
So was I. And
I kind of was too. And
mhm.
sometimes that I was saying the other day that, sometimes that old stuff comes back in,
Yeah.
and I'm like, "Blech, get off of me, shake it off." Um,
Twinsies. I chose to stop that loop myself. Good.
good.
It's a work. For me, it's a progress.
Mm.
But um, it's very clear to me now that this is where I'm supposed to be. It had been clear to me for a while. I mean, very, very much, but
Over
very
a
much more.
year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I sat at Dell too long.
Mhm.
I was so miserable by the time I got out of there. I mean, I was like, what is life? Like, I can't even like perceive life other than like getting up and going to this place and doing this job, coming home, so exhausted that I didn't want to do anything else all week long. And then I was so exhausted, I just would lay around all weekend. I mean, you get in these habits and these ruts. And at the time, I mean, the job that I had, and you've old interviews, I'm like, the people would have thought like this is a dream job. I had this corner office,
I
I had
did
this
too.
team, I
Hmm.
had good money,
Hmm.
the whole shebang. And, and I worked really hard to get that.
I did
So it was
too.
hard to like just go, I'm quitting, especially when they wanted me to stay. It was much easier when you're kicked out.
Yeah, and didn't I say, I said the most ideal situation would be for me to be laid off
Yeah,
because then it would provide a
a
little
little
bit
bit
of
of a,
security, if you will, or cushion. And then also, I think secretly it was because I didn't know if I could walk away. And that's a scary thing, like the way
yeah,
you heard the words, and I had been hearing, and literally, if your body is telling you, if you feel like throwing up every day, you're signing into work. That's probably all the cues, right?
right.
But I still was very much in resistance, and
Mhm.
I didn't know if I could just up and walk away without
Without
having,
being kicked.
yeah. What
How
happened?
many of you need a kick in your ass to make a change?
I really thought that I was gonna, I'm gonna do this so, methodical, right?
Yeah,
I'm gonna have this nest egg, and then I'm gonna have do this, and I'm gonna do this, and then I'll make that, then I'll make that transition. And as life would have it, it went a very different way, and it actually went the way that it probably could have been the best way. But how many times did I need to get myself in a frenzy or feel bad or not be available for even my son as fully me, in order to make those decisions to follow the whispers.
right. And this is practice, you guys. I mean, this is so much practice. Uh, so, I mean, how many of you actually need a kick in the ass to make a change,
Jolt, shove,
right? And
push,
all that
direct.
that is, would you be willing to
Yeah.
destroy and uncreate everything that is?
Yes.
Yeah. I think it would be a really interesting experiment. Maybe we do this in the lounge, but to take a point of view. So if your point of view is, I've got to work hard for money, and maybe that's a deeper one. So we could start on one that's a little lighter than that. Sort of like I've got to diet and exercise to lose weight. Those points of view, I've got to eat less to lose weight or something like that. If you've got those kind of point of views, you're like constantly in that point of view. Be nice to like take just a single point of view like that, and through hypnosis and meditations, really change that so that you look at yourself as, this is, this is this instead of this is that. I mean, because with this, I mean, I know that I have a point of view, and Lianka has a point of view on where we want to take this business and this company. And and I'm like with this massive audience, right? And and I'm also willing to just be here with everyone with where we're at. And and then with that, it's like, where does the doubt come in? Like, where does it go, oh well, maybe I can't? And whose does that belong to? If I desire to have this, why would I even waver?
Mm.
You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So I blame Lianka for her doubt that comes in my brain at some points. That's slowing it
I
down. No,
never
I'm
do
just
that.
kidding.
I usually have to be like, hey, knock it off.
I know. Yeah, that's true. So maybe it's the other way around. It belongs to my past.
Yeah, really. Um, and I find myself, but again, it's easier. Sometimes it feels easier to, I don't even want to say it's easier. I want to say it feels easier to point out what other people do than to look at our own stuff. For example, like my mom was like, she did something, and we were looking at some houses, and she really wants to get a house out in California, and that's a big task. And it's something she probably hasn't really manifested before, but she's manifested a lot, a whole shit ton, let me tell y'all. That would seem, unattainable for those who would have a lot of doubt. But she's really, really, she really knows the law of attraction. She understands
Well,
it. She works with
and
it.
when she went to school, that changed her point of view about
Yeah,
what was possible too.
correct. But the fact that she would even go to school at, near, her
Yeah.
age, is some things that her brother would say, what are you doing that for? Why are you going out to California? And he even looked at me, he's like, Leonka, at her age, should she be doing this? And I was like, heck yes. And
Mm.
so anyway, she saw a house and she's like, I'm gonna have me a house. And then she saw something and she's like, oh well. And I could tell her kind of sigh and I go, uh-uh. I said, if you spot it, you got it. And she just has to hold that vision.
Yeah.
And I mean, how many times that we have to, I could see it for her, but there are many times where sometimes I have to remind myself, if you spot it, you got it. It can be yours. There's a vast, whole universe out here, and all possibilities are available.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell us on the chat, what else is sticking you? So we can process and we can do some of the vibe thing. I was playing with my dragons. If you noticed, the email yesterday had a different subject line than the one today. So last night when I was in meditation, I was like, okay, dragons, what do we want to talk about? And they were like, the flow of it. And we talked, and Leonka and I talked a little bit about this, on, I, I was remembering Masami, she was saying that the moon kind of goes in these infinity symbols as it changes. And we were talking about the ebb and flow of money and how when you're in the ebb, where if you look at it as an ocean, it goes out, right, to sea and then it flows back, right? And how when it ebbs like that, how can we still be the vision and be, maybe the vision isn't even the word I use anymore, but be the frequency of wealth once again. Like, what would that really take? And I'm kind of curious what you think it would take. I know what it takes for me. I often have to, when I start something new, I have to look to see what other people are doing. And I have to get hungry for I have to want what they're doing.
So you're
That's,
playing I Spotted, I Got It.
I am playing that.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have people that I'm like that or better, that
Yeah.
I'm, it's not exactly that I want what they've envisioned, but it's closer to that than what I have currently.
How many people do you understand that or better? I'm just curious.
Me or
Oh, I'm
what do you
just
say?
asking, or I'm just making sure everyone understands why she said that or better.
Oh, right. You guys get that, right? Um,
Or I think sometimes it helps to be reminded, because earlier you were like, these people get it, but sometimes it helps to be reminded. I mean, or just to see more examples of it.
yeah.
So basically, that or better is when you're working with the universe and when you put out your order, you don't, I mean, if you say, I want red shoes and I want them to come by Thursday at 2 p.m., you want to say,
You
or
order them from
better.
Amazon today.
What order from Amazon, right? But the truth is that the universe wants to provide in so many ways, and usually we can kind of tie ourselves down to something whenever we don't allow for the universe to be able to provide that creative flow. So the reason why Janet said or better is because she wants to allow the universe to provide even more if it's available.
Yeah.
Right?
For me, right?
Yeah.
I got a new necklace over the weekend at a farmer's market on Sunday. Kind of
cool.
looks like the
It's so
eclipse. It's like two
fun.
circles. You probably can't see it so well on screen. But I feel that I manifested this on Friday night. We went to Austin Unconducted. It's a symphony performance, and one of my cousins is in the symphony. And, she had this exact necklace. It's handcrafted.
It's gorgeous.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I love it so much. Where did you get it? And in my head, I'm thinking, I'm ready for a new circle necklace. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna look around. The next day we went to Nordstrom, so I kind of perused some of their jewelry items. And then come Sunday, we went to the farmer's market and I literally I went to get kombucha and dog bones and I got them. And then we had 10 minutes when things were closing. That's how late we were. I walked right up to this jewelry, and I don't ever look at jewelry at those places. And there was a necklace. Like it wasn't prominent, it was just there. And I was like, I'm getting it.
It's real cute.
Thank you. But I feel that I manifested it. I mean, that was
You
a
did.
quick one too. And,
Yeah, it was.
and I think when we do that, we need to go, I acknowledge it. I
Hmm.
acknowledge that I have this power and I'm more magical than everyone else in the world. Oh, we manifest it. So, do you want to tell them about the TV thing?
Tell them.
Okay. So, the other day, let's see. I guess
Oh,
it
it's a
was what
world premiere
it's been a little
announcement,
while ago.
y'all.
So,
This is about to be a world premiere announcement.
3 or 4 weeks ago, I'm in this entrepreneur community, and a person, sent me this little ad that was about this reality show for entrepreneurs. They're looking for startups. And I was like, yes, I love reality show. So I was like, I'm getting this. And I went in meditation. I was like, and I should have probably asked for something even better because it'd be nice if there wasn't a lot of entrepreneurs. It'd be nice if there was just like 8. So we'd have a lot of screen time. But it's a big show with a lot of groups and a lot of
Well, I mean,
entrepreneurs.
50,000 people
Yeah.
apply every year
Yeah.
to be part of the show.
So 50,000 people, we're among 90 in as one of the entrepreneur companies.
So,
So it's going to be filmed in July.
so we were chosen yesterday.
Yes, yesterday. And I visualized it and I asked for it and I did every single thing. So like I said, I'm a little more magical than the rest of you. No, I'm just kidding. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, like Jesus, you can do this too. And it's very, very fun. And I know that you guys have had little things, but how much have you amplified it by really acknowledging? Maybe that's where the transformation comes today,
Oh,
is how much aren't you acknowledging what you actually can create? Like, would you be willing to really, really take that in to your heart, really receive that and go, wow, I've done that too. During the series, I talked about my key that I lost, and I was like, I am finding this because I don't want to pay $500 for a new Audi car key because I know it's in my house.
yeah, and I hope that everybody knows that, Jenith is being really, really
Face-
sarcastic here.
Facetious.
Yeah,
You
she's
might.
being really super facetious here. And if it is coming up for you that one person can manifest better than others, then just look within because we all are that. That's it. We are all so super magical. We just forgot. We forgot when we got here to Earth.
Yeah, yeah. One of the trainings within the Access Consciousness community is that we're all from this golden planet, and they could literally manifest things with their mind. Things and objects would just show up, and just literally by them, asking and receiving it, like the Bible says.
And like people who talk about fifth dimension,
Yep.
that those are all showing up. Why? In various different scriptures, writings, information, practices, because we are remembering.
Yeah. Yeah. Joe is like, we are remembering.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
and that's why I said it.
now
Yeah.
and sometimes late at night, it's when I just kind of tap in, and when I do that, I feel that all the remembrance is there, but then sometimes I'm like, oh, it's too good to be true.
I do that. I had that. I had that.
I'm like, ooh, I can do, I'm like, it's right here. So, now is the time. Anita says, acknowledging my ability to create good things for me.
Who
Yeah.
has this point of view that uh, all good things must come to an end?
Somebody that doesn't believe what we believe.
Right. But I know that I had that feeling for a
Hmm.
long time.
I don't even
Also,
really remember that in my belief system.
see, I thought,
Yeah.
I would always have this like, oh, don't fixate on it too much because or don't hold that too much because then you might get your feelings hurt.
Hmm.
And that or
Which
don't
is
get too
kind of a good
attached.
belief within it, to not get too attached.
There was
There's a
probably
sort of
some,
surrender.
yeah, there was probably some like wisdom there, but me, I thought all good things come to an end. Well, cool, let me just ride this ride and that's that, right? Like, or money might run out, or and so what happens is that then those things I have to make real.
Mm.
And so then, of course, then I have to go prove myself that it doesn't run out, right? Then I
Yeah.
have to go prove myself that money's available or good times are available, all thus because of a belief system that I believed, probably from my parents or lineage or whatnot, but definitely something that was, maybe started from uh, losing or relinquishing my attachment and
Mm.
surrendering, but really became all good things come to an end. And I felt like maybe that also applied to money as well.
Yeah. My parents used to say you can do anything you set your mind to. And that really worked in my favor for quite some time. I don't know how much that's ingrained with me because now it's more like being your mind and your heart. Anything you set your mind and your heart to, you can become.
So Anita
Yeah,
wrote, and yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to
go for it.
go ahead. Anita wrote, lower expectations because the other shoe is going to drop. There it is.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's
And
exactly how I
everything
was
that
doing it. Yeah.
is, well, there you go into meditation, get rid of that one, that point of view.
You say it so nonchalantly, and I'm over here like, no, the shoe's gonna drop. The sky's gonna fall, y'all. But that
Yeah,
was my belief system, growing up for so long.
yeah. I remember being in moments of lack, where it's just like, come on, people. It was almost like not about me as much as it was like, why isn't this working? It
Mm.
was like I would launch something and it would just seem like, come on, this is amazing, people. What are you doing? You know, as Joe Dispenza would say, the common are doing the uncommon, or something like that.
Because we're remembering.
Yeah, absolutely.
So everywhere where we're God, even all those places where they may be hidden and those underlying programs of lack or something is looming, would you be willing to destroy and uncreate now?
Yeah.
Yes.
All the points of view that you have, that lack is yours and your battle to fight, would you be willing to destroy and uncreate everything
Yes.
that is? Yeah. And what is lack really? I mean, if you tap into it, it's kind of like this emptiness. It's kind of like, how do you describe it?
Um, it's a longing.
It's almost like a
It's a
desperation component with
desperation.
it, which is exactly the energy the universe goes the opposite way with. One of my things so once I left Dell in 2006, I like drove my family into this massive debt, just learning and learning and learning. I was just stuck in this like education mode and I was paying for all these things and you know some of them have paid off in the end. I don't say there's anything bad with learning, but I was almost in the habit of learning instead of that habit of actually doing anything. And my husband trapped me against this bathroom wall and he said, look, you've got to make money or you've got to go back and get a job. And a job was like a death sentence for me. And in that time, I made a choice. And at the same time, he gave me this article to read about having. And that was the key that started to change all this for me was, I would be, we even had like our cars were breaking down at the time. And I was like, dude, I can't spend money on a new transmission, while I'm focused on this other thing. And there would be like all this noise in my head about these different things in my life just, falling apart that also needed attention and money. And I just started to go, you know what, I'm having this. I'm having the more clients, and I was really, really specific. And that's when Proctor, almost the same week, Proctor was like, well, if you want to be a part of this program, you have to manifest $2,000 this week. Not to pay him, I had already paid him, but he just was like going to, and he forced me to make like 50 calls a day and ask for money.
Bob Proctor.
Yep. And
Wow.
I studied with him. Well, that was one of the reasons we were in debt because I invested in him too. In like 2008. I was like, and then talk about being desperate to have to get money because I was not getting a job. Especially, I just couldn't.
Right.
I just am unemployable, I think. I don't like working for other people. Yeah, Joe says I don't want to be a warrior anymore, right? Yeah,
And that was a belief system, right? That you have to go and take on, wear the
or your battle suit.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, think about all those work hard. I mean, all of these things have a connotation, and more so, they have a vibrant of frequency. And when we are walking around with our battle suit on, what does that do for our being? I mean, really, when you are in a suit, imagine you have this battle suit on, you feel contracted.
Yeah.
And when you're contracted, do you think that you're communicating with the field for more money and wealth? No.
No, because the field is like,
can't reach you.
Yeah. Well, that's what I said. You got to get quiet for your angels to get a word in edgewise, right? I mean, and that's why people on this planet don't believe in this work because they haven't had an experience of it. You guys, have had these like probably crazy epic experiences where you've, been with the galactic, right? And, you're not in it all the time. And that's why it's almost like suffering when you're out of it a little bit.
But we have to have those times too.
Yeah.
To take to integrate and to create using that.
And show other people how to do it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The time is now.
Right.
Joe says, yes, all caps. Yes.
Thank you, guys. Well, let's just do what obviously today we don't have a guest. We will on Thursday, my dear friend Megan Silito. Did you want to talk a little bit about your ebb and flow thing?
Sure. So in the book, we talked a little bit about sales, right? When so for sales, I've been a salesperson for all of my life, and I am naturally one of those people that are connector. So for me, sales didn't really have like a negative connotation when I first started, right? So my first job was I think I worked at it was like Sonic. And I had that job for 2 weeks and I failed miserably because me and food and working around food didn't work really well. And my grandpa was laughing at me. I probably was 15. So my second job was a telemarketer. And I did it really fast and furious, and I would sell people Olin Mills packages and
Oh, wow.
sitting.
Remember
Like,
that?
hey, do you want to come in for a sitting? And they get this really pretty 8 by 10. So after that, I mean, I knew that I could make money very easily through sales. And in radio and television, I also worked in advertising. And so that is a form of sales. And so primarily, I've always been some form of presentation sales marketing. And through the course of my career, I got really jaded by the word sales. And I got really jaded when everybody would start to come to numbers and whether or not you work in media. I'm sure that you've experienced probably some form of, transactional sales in some form or fashion wherever you've worked, whether it's Dell or whatnot. So I started to become really, 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 I guess, just jaded. And my point being here was that I was looking for anything to make me feel better about it all, because I just felt like a used car salesman. And there's nothing wrong with used car salesmen. I think some of them are really great. In fact, my buddy owns a used car sales lot, and he gives people second chance cars, which I think is great too. My point is that I sat down and I read this book. It was called The Greatest Salesman. It was called The Greatest Salesman of the World. And it's an older book. And it, at the very end, it has 10 scrolls. And you're supposed to do the scrolls one per month. And it's supposed to kind of help you. Well, it's supposed to help you with, your own sales, your belief systems around it. I don't know exactly how it works, but when I thought about it later, it really kind of breaks down and has you be in the flow of understanding why sales is important. And to the very end of the book, I don't want to give it away for those who might read it, but it basically was, even Jesus was a really, great salesman, because, how else was he going to be able to share this work with the world and then have people, he had to be the invitation. And so that was the premise of the book. And one of the things that I thought was really strange in the scroll was, so the 10 scrolls are of various different ideologies and ways in which you actually are being, to come back to Janet's topic here, it's not the transaction, but the invitation of the ebb and flow, because, we are offering stuff here when we are doing sales. And so one of the things in the scrolls, it was called "Today I Will Be the Master of My Emotions." And I thought, why is this in sales, right? And it says, and I'm just going to read a little bit to you, and you can take it away of how you want, but each one is a practice of a meditation, and you do them morning, midday, and in evening. So imagine me doing this. In the evening, you have to do it out loud, because subconsciously your brain has to hear your own words.
Cool.
So it says, "Today I will be the master of my emotions. The tides advance, the tides recede. Winter goes and summer comes. Summer wanes and the cold increases. The sun rises, the sun sets. The moon is full, the moon is black. The birds arrive, the birds depart. Flowers bloom, flowers fade. Seeds are sown, harvests are reaped. All nature is a circle of moons, and I am a part of nature. And so, like the tides, my moods will rise, my moods will fall. Today, I will be the master of my emotions."
Wow. We should have started with that. I probably meant to do.
And I just leave that with you, and you can kind of put it on a loop. There's more here, and you can look it up on the internet. And
Why don't you send me the link and I'll put it out on the
yeah,
newsletter
that'd be
too.
great. But it really just reminds us that we are of nature, and there is a flow. A
Yeah.
flow.
Yeah.
And if we can ride that better and know that we are working with flow, be in flow, be of flow, then we can manifest with flow once we surrender,
Yeah.
because we're nature.
I love that. We were even saying that after the eclipse, when there's so much excitement like that, there's often like this hangover, this come down after. Despite, even if you don't drink, there's still kind of this come down, this like, ugh,
You got to go back to
yeah,
work, right?
got to go
Or
back to the real life, and things like that. And it's just, that was epic, and now we got to come back. And
and
and there is kind of a down on that,
right. I
you
mean,
know.
collectively, right? So if you're feeling that, if you're feeling those, like coming off of vacation, correct.
Yeah.
So if you're feeling that, know that is a seed that is being sown. If we didn't have the cycles for the moon, we wouldn't have the blessings of the moon, right?
Hmm.
We wouldn't have the blessings of spring if there wasn't a winter.
Yeah. Yeah. And in the lounge, I think I'm hoping if you guys want to go along with it, we'll do some really cool processing around wealth. Um,
Who says I have to come back? No, no, you can choose.
well, yeah, I think that that's the whole point, and I mean, if you can always be on vacation, then great. I kind of like my life without it always being on vacation, though. I mean, I like this part of my life as much as I like watching the eclipse. I mean, you can only watch the eclipse like once every 20 years or whatever it is. Yeah. She's like, Nita says, I'm finding out how to be back, but not fully back. Well, that was me after COVID. It took me so long, you guys. I mean, if I was a different person, because I also had my leg injury and I wasn't moving and doing anything. And when I don't move, apparently I don't have an outlet. So then instead it gets all mustered up inside of me and it feels like depression and anxiety and it's very icky. Now this is sort of my outlet. But now that I can move again, I think that's really how I release. Oh, well, this has been a fun one.
Yeah.
So you guys, we are going to throw in some solos in between. The plan right now is that another summit, with a, massive immersion, we're going to create, but in between, we're just going to kind of do these little things with no sales or anything like that. We're just going to
Keep showing up.
keep showing up and keep inviting you to the lounge so that we're trying to kind of keep the Akashic readings and our actual my hypnosis and things more in the lounge, and then these will be conversational and some an awareness and processing. It's mostly
With your
about
gift.
possibility and awareness on the regular show, just so you know what's kind of happening.
And we'll keep
The
you
ebb and
updated.
flow of Hot Hustle. Yeah, and actually, the reason that I wanted to bring Megan on on Thursday was because I also felt like some of her, questions that she would pull forward and pull out would be whispers that would help us create too. So it's like you
Ooh,
guys are doing this with us. It's
that'll
kind
be
of fun
fun.
this way.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll keep bringing on really fun guests. We'll do another summit here in June, and we'll continue to have the show every Tuesday and Thursday, and we'll also keep you updated on the reality show as well.
Yeah, so that 1 week will be gone. It's in July. I don't
We'll
know
do
if we
some
can put out
replays. Yeah,
pre-record or
we'll do some
replays.
replays.
So
So
it's
y'all
just
have
one
to.
week, and actually it might be fun if we could do some Instagram footage or something and send it your
We'll
way.
definitely
And
keep y'all
yeah,
from behind the scenes. We'll be connecting in, so you'll have
yeah.
to root for us. It's quite. I told my son, I said, I'm nervous, and he goes, and my husband goes, okay. He's like, do you want to stay stuck where you are, or in just a little bubble, or do you want to
Oh, that's
expand?
nice of him.
And he kind of compared me to Ryzen, my son, because my son did a competition and they won. It was a science competition or engineering competition. They won globals, y'all. his little school, his little team of seven, they won globals against China. And so my husband was using some of the same reverse psychology on me last night, saying, "Hey, all right, do you just want to stay where you are?" And just and he's talking about in my own bubble, in my own head, and he goes, "Or do you want to expand?" And he was like, and reach bigger audiences with the messages,
Yeah.
And I said, he goes, "You say you want to change the world," and he goes, "Well, change it."
Right?
And he goes, "Knock it off." And I go,
Yeah.
"You're right. You're right."
I'm going to start visualizing us winning this. I was trying to play with that last night and I kept getting us like in third or fourth place. I was like, what is that? I don't like that. So I'm trying to up the vision to get us in first place now. But we've got time. We've got till July. It
And
doesn't
I
get any
even
better
say,
than
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. And I say, if we got third place, but it brought us, the
Exposure,
opportunity
yeah.
for the bigger platform, and if that's so be it, then I mean, I always think about Jennifer Hudson. She didn't win American Idol, but damn, she had a great career,
Mm,
right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, and we were even saying, with this, it gives us, way to sit for media,
Yeah,
so even if we don't get much out of it,
it's
which we
definitely,
will, I'm
yeah,
pretty sure we will,
yeah.
but um,
But even, this or something better, right?
yeah.
Whatever that is,
This
the
could be our
spotlight.
leaping off spot to be the Real Housewives of Austin, Texas.
I don't want to be a housewife.
You don't want to be a housewife?
They have
Turn
to,
it.
they'll have to change their format to include more consciousness. Then be like the Real Housewife witches.
Maybe we could start podcasting of Austin, Texas,
Yeah,
like
sure.
buying Beverly Hills. Just doesn't have quite the same ring.
But yeah, if they let us bring in all the consciousness, then I'm game.
I
But
know, totally. When I interviewed, I was like, well, I
the
just
real
want you to know
haven.
that, this is, she's like, well, what products and services
I
do you
like
have? Like,
that.
she's trying to do problem solution, right? And I was like, well, right now it's a little galactic. She kind of liked my answer, I think. But she's like, what do you mean by that? I was like, literally, we have people channeling from like the Arcturians. She was like, oh, interesting. I actually was afraid that that might get me kicked out, but I think that it was so different in the way I said
That's what
it,
I
it got me
said.
kicked in.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I said. I was like,
Yeah.
you're gonna really be afraid
A real haven. I love
or
that.
love it or curious. And I think the time is now, right?
Yeah.
I think the time is now where so many people, mainstream, are really looking for, they've tried all these other different ways, and maybe it's a collective of everything, in
Hmm.
order to really remember and reach themselves,
Yeah.
which is the whole premise of why we're here
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
doing this with y'all.
I know that we don't have like one product that we sell that has a solution, but
Yet.
yeah, right. But I feel like that's coming, and you guys are really going to help us create it. So,
The
doesn't get any
real
better than
haven.
that.
Yeah, the
Guys,
real.
thank you so much for being here and being present. When uh, I know that a lot of times there's like you guys, and then everyone comes for the guest, right? And so I do appreciate you guys showing up and playing with us today. I really am excited to see what the future brings, and it's fun just exploring manifestation with you for sure. So Joe says I'm seeing that a lot, and not all
Are
not all
asking,
are asking. Yeah,
but they are
for sure
sure
that
are
are
observing.
observing.
Yes, they are, Joe. Yeah, and that's
Yep.
why we're here. That's why we're here creating this, for you, for more people. I remember I felt this way before I found this work.
Yeah. Somebody said, I just
I
so,
didn't know that there wasn't a guest. Anita
oh, that's
said.
funny.
Thank you. Oh, so now you
Yeah.
know. It's all about you two. Oh,
Oh,
love you,
thank
Nita.
you.
Thank you. And we'll definitely broadcast from behind the scenes when we do the show in July.
And yeah, and I'll send you my the little TikTok reel from yesterday because it's hilarious. Got a little exposure too. I have nobody that really follows me on TikTok.
I
But
just signed
maybe I
up.
will now that I talk about the eclipse and we had the little bitty hill skit.
I think things are going to be pretty crazy soon. And you can always follow us on Hot Hustle Media on
On
Instagram,
Instagram, yeah.
which links to our TikToks and all of those fun things as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think if you watch the replay, there's it's like if you comment on our feed and we haven't really done this, but we will. But we are going to send you stuff and
Yeah,
goodies, and we want to know all you guys too, right? Um, I just think that'll be a lot of fun.
it is. It will
Yeah.
be fun. So thank you.
So we will be back on Thursday, um, same time, same place, talking to my dear friend Megan Silito. I've created products with her in the past. I've been to her events and all these good things. So I think you're really going to enjoy that. All right. You have a great day, and we'll talk to you later.